Good morning, everyone. I don't know how many of you have heard of Andrew White, or to give him his full title, the Reverend Canon Dr. Andrew White. He was the vicar of St. George's Church in Baghdad in Iraq, the only Anglican church in Iraq. And he was there until he was ordered to leave in November 2014 by the Archbishop of Canterbury because it was just too unsafe for him to be there. He's known as the Vicar of Baghdad. You might have read some of his books, and he's now ambassador to Jerusalem Middle East Reconciliation International. He's an incredible man of faith. And for Christmas, Bill and I were given this book, A Year with Andrew White, by Bill's parents, and it's a collection of 52 meditations. And I found them truly inspiring as I've read them week by week. And I want to share one of them with you today. It's based on the verse from Deuteronomy 31, very, very well-known verse. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. And I'm going to read what Andrew writes about this verse. In our constant journey of life, we're all faced with difficulties and often confronted by the question, how do we keep going? We may be struggling with illness, unemployment, or bereavement. For me, in war zones, it was often a huge struggle when under enemy attack. I will never forget a typical evening in Baghdad on Maundy Thursday. We had our service organised in the US Embassy Chapel. We'd already had our Iraqi service of foot washing at St. George's Church, a ritual which Iraqis take very seriously. We'd even talked about service to our enemies, and we had plenty of them. Now it was to the US Embassy for a special service there. Most of our congregation were soldiers. It was far too difficult for them to take off their boots, so we settled for washing their hands, and the service began. I had just got into the liturgy when the rocket started blasting towards us. We were in the midst of praise and worship, and suddenly everybody, apart from me, fell to the floor. Our worship leader, from his kneeling position on the floor, went on playing the piano. The worship that followed as we sang the song, No, Never Alone, was the most powerful worship I have ever experienced. I had never heard this song before, though I now realise it's a very popular old gospel hymn. No, never alone. No, never alone. He promised never to leave me, never to leave me alone. It's a song written by Ludi Pickett. What powerful words these are in the midst of battle. The one assurance we have is that we will never be alone, because our Lord, our Creator and Maker, is with us. Time and time again, even in the midst of countless disasters of life, we are continually reminded of the eternal presence of God's love. In Deuteronomy is that promise given by the Almighty that He will always be with us. It's a thread of assurance that runs throughout the Bible, clearly present in both the Hebrew Scriptures and the New Testament. Let's read it again. Be bold, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. It is indeed only when we truly believe in the Almighty and follow Him with all our heart that we can truly be the strong and courageous people we're called to be. Once again, this is true for us not just when we live in the midst of terror, but wherever we are called to serve the Almighty. He promises us His constant presence, His undying attention and concern. Jesus himself shared the same message, that his followers would never be alone, when he said, Go therefore and make disciples of all the nations, and lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. That's Matthew 28. So the message of Jesus is in line with that of his Father, simply that we are indeed never alone. There are great expectations on us who follow Jesus, but there is also great provision for us. We have been given the assurance of the ever-abiding presence of the Almighty. It may seem at times as if God is far away, but his eternal assurance and promise to us is simply this: never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. So the rockets and mortars may have been attacking us. Everything may seem so bad in our life, but the promise of our Lord is always the same, and his perfect love casts out all fear. He will never leave you, and that means that perfect love will not leave you. The events of that service never left me, and have never left some of my very good friends from those days. He is faithful, and he is true. Whatever dangerous situation I have faced since that day, I always end up singing the words of that old gospel hymn. No, never alone, no, never alone. He promised never to leave me, never to leave me alone. It is this simple yet profound message that has always been with me throughout my journey of faith, life, and mission, and continues to resonate in my heart today. So do not be afraid. The Lord is near, and so often he fights our battles for us. Keep worshipping him, and the more you do, the more aware you will become of his presence. And just to finish, I'm going to play that hymn that some of you will know quite well. You may be wondering where I am. I'm actually in the storeroom at church, next to the large hall where we store the chairs, and this is where the piano is being kept at the moment. So just forgive me if I turn my back to you for a second to play this hymn.